Welcome to Book Club. I'm Dylan, here with my podcasting buddy for something nice and light and apolitical. Keith, what's up, buddy?
How we doing?
I had to run that line back twice because he referenced it in the book, and it was, it was perfect. And I was having a coffee. So we're breaking down some bestsellers, and this week we'll be discussing Carried Away, a brand new, hot off the presses debut novel by TJ Derry. On top of that, we're honored by TJ himself, who stopped by to join us in a conversation about the book and so much other stuff. So if you'd like to recommend a book for us to read or which past episodes, you can visit our website, buddybookclub.com, or slide into our DMs or on X or Instagram, Buddy Book Club Podcast. You listeners, iTunes, Spotify, please download, subscribe, 5-star review. Please and thank you. Before we get into our main categories and all the stuff you like from Buddy Book Club, I think we should jump into the interview first. So we'll jump into the interview. You guys can listen to that and then stick around for all the normal stuff you come for at the end. But here's us talking with TJ Derry about Carried Away. All right, so the book is Carried Away. We got TJ Derry on, his debut novel. I'd like to start us off. Neither of us really know much about surfing. And I did go surfing once in Waikiki Beach when I was like 13. I don't know if it's really considered surfing because you're just kind of, on a slow roller.
No, that counts. That counts for sure.
It counts? Okay, cool. Well, I'm glad.
Yeah.
But the amount of knowledge I gained from that was probably equally offset by the amount of nipples that got chafed off during that process.
Oh yeah, dude. Every time.
No one told me about that. It's like a week later, I'm in gym class and someone said, "Why are your nipples have scabs on them?"
Oh yeah, it's one of those things that at least when you go back surfing after having been off for a while, there's so many things that stop you from surfing the second day or the third day.
Yeah.
You're like, my ribs hurt, and my nipples are chafed, and I'm sunburned. And so it's the whole thing. Surfing's really romantic on paper. In practice, it's kind of violent in a lot of ways. So yeah, that's something that you learn pretty quick.
Yeah, and you conveyed that very well in the book, and the way you write the surfing scenes, I thought was just wonderful. It helped laymen like us understand why someone would lug a surfboard halfway around the world to catch a wave. So I guess my question is, what is your relationship with surfing, and did you want to write a novel? I wouldn't say this novel isn't about surfing by any means, but it has surfing as kind of a thing running through it. So what's your relationship with surfing, and how did you decide to put that into the book?
So my relationship with surfing is sort of like fantastical relationship, because I don't live right now, at least, anywhere near an ocean. And so growing up in Southern Ontario, Canada, you kind of, again, it's sort of like you romanticize it a little bit, because it's like the core lord's sport. It's the one that the rest of the board sports that we had access to were kind of crafted to emulate, I guess. So skateboarders on concrete are just people that's sort of what surfers would do in California, in Venice Beach or whatever, when there was no waves. And they would just kind of go and try to surf like these embankments or whatever. And then snowboarding, of course, is just another derivative of that. So the source of all of it is surfing. And so that my relationship was always just watching it and being like, that's where you want to end up. So snowboarding my whole life and skateboarding was just sort of like, I guess, you'd sort of look at that as like, man, one day I'm going to go surf. And so I lived out in Vancouver for a bit, and was working on some films out there, and we would go to Tofino. And that was where I figured out that I love surfing, but can't surf. But that's what everybody does. Like, I know people think, I could probably pick it up. It's just not something you can pick up. You have to really actually go and try to figure it out and learn about so much. And so anyways, that's sort of what it was to me. But to write about surfing, that was never really the intent either. It was more serves as a vehicle, I guess, for the story to unfold, because I don't think a lot of people are going to pick up a book that's about surfing. And it's not that people aren't interested in surfing, but it's like when you get too bogged down with that, those details and specs, it just becomes about that. And so that wasn't what I wanted to write about. I just wanted to find some way to get these characters in this situation. And sort of that's what it was for me. It was really like, shy away. I don't want to talk ad nauseum about how surfing is great and how fun it is. It's just not really, that wasn't where I was coming from at all.
Yeah, that would have been a very different and probably less accessible book. And it's funny because I live in Cape Cod, Massachusetts. Keith lives in San Diego. So, we both have the ability to go and surf somewhere if we wanted to,
Hmm.
with a drive. But neither of us do. Although Keith is going to Waikiki Beach this weekend, so maybe
Really?
Yeah, I have to pick up
he'll
the board. Although after reading this book, I'm a little nervous about these waves coming in. So I don't know.
I think you'll be all right in Waikiki. That's like the bouncy castle of surfing. But I think it's just if
Right
you
in
can
my
get out
alley.
there and find a wave or two, you'll probably for better or worse get sucked into the whole thing and then sort of find yourself handcuffed by it. That's sort of what happened to me once I kind of actually got the feel for it. That was it.
Yeah, my mom lives on a lake in Michigan, and they do the like wake surfing out
Oh
there.
yeah. Oh yeah.
Really fun. That is
Oh yeah.
super
It's a
fun.
good way to learn to do the actual surfing part. The problem is that it's not actually what surfing is. Because like when you're taking someone out to learn surfing, the hard part isn't standing on the board and riding. The hard part is figuring out how to get out to the wave and where to sit and all that stuff. It's very deceiving because you think, I know how to surf, no problem. I did it behind a boat and now I'm like a pro. And then you get to the ocean and you paddle for 2 hours and you don't get a single wave and you're like, oh man, okay. Right.
Yeah, it's definitely the training wheel aspect. And
Hmm.
yeah, shout out to Southern Ontario. My sister lives in Georgetown.
Oh,
Um,
nice. Yeah, it's not too far.
so
Yeah, expanding on how this story came about, I really loved the first half because I feel like a lot of these books and movies about survival against the elements type thing, they kind of just throw you in immediately. Whereas the first half of this book, we really got to understand these characters. It really grounded the whole book and made you worry about them and have that anxiety. So I
Hmm.
guess the question is, did you think of these characters beforehand and then put them in the situation, or did the situation come up and you're like, all right, now let me build characters around it to fit in the situation?
I don't know if it was either. I think what I decided was that I wanted to tell the story and kind of worked backward from there. The characters are all just they're sort of like a patchwork or a mosaic of people and real people. So just as a for instance, like the character Captain Carlos is a real guy who I'm really close with, and so he lives in Nosara, Costa Rica. He just like lifted right out of reality. So I think it was that. It was like what I kind of think maybe I treat life like a casting room. Like I just feel like everyone I meet, I'm like, man, that guy's so interesting, or that girl's like so cool. So I had a lot of like a deep well to draw from of just having experience traveling around and just actual friends from home as well. So I don't know if it was really like well thought out. It was just like it kind of developed on its own volition. But the character, the idea of writing a book that had a ton of things that happen that go wrong and there's so much at stake, I thought that it would be a really important thing to actually, like you say, to kind of care about what happens to them. So I used what I could to make the characters feel like real people, and so that yeah, you do actually care. And the whole idea of the spectacle film, it's like if I talked about this before, but with Jurassic Park, the first one, you really cared because the film was set up really well and you really understood who these characters were. And then the subsequent newer ones, they didn't really do that. It was just about how many attacks and how many CG dinosaurs they could cram into it. And the problem that I have with those films is that I just don't really feel invested, or I don't
Yeah.
care what happens. So I think my thing was if you really feel these people and you understand who they really are, and you have sort of an intimate understanding of what their relationships are and all that stuff, you'll actually want to follow through and read what happens, because otherwise it just doesn't really have the same impact, I guess.
interesting corollary to Jurassic Park, as I just recently rewatched all the Jurassic Parks as I was prepping for American Thanksgiving here. And
Okay.
first one hits so hard, and then the other ones are just
Do you
do
agree?
not.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It's like, well, you care. The kids really impact you in that first one, and so do the paleontologist characters. And the old man. I don't know. That's how you do it. And Spielberg's is a real master at that, and has always been. So that's sort of, I think that's the template that you want to at least be influenced by. But again, the thing that you the thing that I was saying earlier is like you got to write what you want to write about, and I really felt like these characters were interesting people, and they're really funny, a lot of them too, I thought. So like a lot of
Definitely.
the stuff that some of the characters that came to me as I was writing it, which are sort of spontaneous, I was like, yeah, that's a really funny line, and or at least that appeals to my kind of sense of humor. So I tried to work it in so that you were like, okay, this is actually entertaining because these people are funny and they're like busting each other's chops, or whatever the case may have been. Like Kendall specifically is really witty with the way that she kind of communicates with Cole. And so I just thought it's a good groundwork to kind of lay out so that So everything else matters, right?
Yeah, and with Kendall and Cole, because you were talking about them,
Hmm.
it's obviously there are a couple of hot people on vacation in Indonesia that both like to surf. So yeah, they're gonna hook up. I get it. But
Right.
it was more about their, I think more than anything, their humor Venn diagram crossed so well
Mm.
that they could both do like he could do the self-deprecating stuff and she would kind of tease him in the way that your buddies do, even though they had just met. And I think that really helped that relationship feel natural as
Hmm.
opposed to just a couple of hot people on a beach meeting each other. It's like, oh, well, duh. Yeah.
The key factor with her is that she sees right through Cole, and I think when you meet someone who does that, it's not just, I don't know if it's disarming. It makes you kind of anxious a little bit in a weird way. And then he feels it right away. He's like, man, something about this girl is just like, she doesn't, she's sort of like right to my core and gets what's going on in my head. Anyway, that was a thing that I thought was important about her, because she kind of like calls him as he sees him in a weird way.
And with the first person stuff, that works, yes, but only if you pick the right character because you're looking through their eyes the whole time. So it has to
Hmm.
be the right character. And I
Hmm.
think choosing, I mean, this maybe just relates to me as a 30 something who has been, grinding the corporate life for 15 years,
Yeah.
but he's so relatable. And I'm sure loads of people who read the book will see
Hmm.
themselves, in his overanalyzing, like inability to live in the moment, those traits, because
Yeah.
at the end of the day, it really is just part of the human condition, right?
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, modern humans. Yeah, I think the other thing too is just making sure that you don't have to necessarily like Cole, but you don't want to dislike him. I think he's got some neuroticism. He doesn't. I didn't play up the. I tried not to play up this sort of stereotypical hero character, because I don't know, that just didn't feel right. But he's definitely loaded with insecurities and all that stuff. And so it's like, if you can actually like him, at least tolerate him well, that helps. But if you don't like him, it's hard to read a book. Like you just sort of saying, it's like, man, you can't really get through the book. You got to actually believe that what this person's POV is, it's at least relatable to you. So that was sort of the thinking. But yeah, because you're stuck with him for that 400 and whatever pages. So you better not really dislike his worldviews and all that stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the only part that I felt was not relatable
Hmm.
is I'm 38 years old. If I
Hmm.
have one too many Miller Lights, there is 0% chance the next day I am going surfing. I am doing anything. Like I am couch locked at
Oh
this
yeah.
age. There's no boot and rallies, or I can't remember what you said in the book, but something similar that they're doing. The
Right.
idea of doing a physical activity in my mid to late 30s is, the day after drinking is that's just not going to happen. So I appreciated his ability to do so, but I don't know anyone in their 30s that could do that, but I
That's
appreciated
that's the most fictional part of the book, for sure.
it. Yeah.
I will bring up the actual most fictional part real quick, Kara, because I
Okay.
related a lot to Cole until he takes Kendall back and has a
Oh, the 30 minutes.
30-minute
Yeah.
sex romp. 30 minutes? Who is this? You said he wasn't a hero? What?
Yeah.
No, he's lying to himself. He was lying to
Oh,
you and
okay.
himself.
It felt
Yeah,
like
it
30
was
minutes.
it was
Ah,
yeah,
Okay, yeah.
especially with her. It was probably more like 80 seconds or something like
yeah.
that. But in
That's
his
still
mind,
long,
he
my
was,
man. Yeah.
yeah, well, yeah, he had some wine, so he was like, he couldn't relate to time and space the way that you might normally.
Okay.
But yeah, no, I and when I sent it to my best friend, he wrote back and he's like, dude, that's bullshit. He's like, there's no way. Especially as he describes her, he's like,
Yeah,
Right,
exactly.
right.
that's comedy. And I'm like, yeah, but whatever. So anyway, yeah, that's true. Fair enough.
Yeah.
Fair
She's like Helena Troy and he's having a marathon session
Yeah.
out
enough.
here.
Yeah,
Wow,
exactly,
Cole, good
exactly.
for you. Good for
Yeah,
you.
God, good. Yeah, he's had a tough couple months, But
Yeah.
yeah, I think when it comes to the like, I will say this about the hangover thing. My relationship to hangovers changes dramatically when I'm not in a cold house in Ontario, Canada, and I'm in the
Fair.
tropics around
Mm.
idyllic conditions. So I'm not saying I could do that, but I will say that in my early 30s, that was pretty common for sure, where you kind of overdo it and go anyway. But he notes a little bit about, yeah, all the times that he got drunk in Costa Rica and couldn't surf, like Cabby's complaining about. Those are definitely things that happened. Yeah.
it seems like one of the bigger themes is obviously getting away, putting your phone down, kind of enjoying nature, things like that. However, the second half of this book, are we? I'm getting a little nervous about some of the elements and things like that. So I guess what are a few themes or things you wanted the reader to take away, despite kind of some of the horrific stuff they go through at the second half of the book?
I think one of the things that I don't know if I approached it with as much forethought as all of that. I wanted to tell this story, but one of the things that became pretty apparent to me when I was writing it, it kind of outsmarted me a little bit, is that what sometimes what it takes to gain the clarity that Cole gains in those sort of in that second half is is a disaster, or is something
Mm,
massive, and something that challenges you maybe mortally or in other ways. But the kind of clarity that only comes in that is something that I wanted people to maybe meditate on just a little bit. It's really easy, and we do it all the time, to just start to take for granted everything you have. I mean, we live in these modern homes. They have heating and cooling. We got refrigerators with a month worth of food, and we have
hmm
stores and everything at our disposal and at our fingertips. And I think that it's worth remembering that that's not where we came from as humans. We came from a really difficult time where we had to fight for everything, and there was constant strife. And so I guess that was one of the things that I thought really started to shine through, is that, man, because he talks about that, right? Like he complains a lot about staring at his ceiling fan in his apartment every day and
Hmm.
dreading the moment he has to get out of bed and face the world. But I think that boredom starts to feel a lot like a luxury to him, or like a almost like a dream, because when he's floating in the middle of the ocean and it's getting dark, what he would give to be ordering food from Uber Eats at home and being bored
Yeah.
to death staring at his wall. And I think it's super easy. We're designed to always be, I guess, expanding as humans, like the dopamine thing. But I think sometimes it's worth looking back at what we have, or looking at what we have, and then looking back at where we came from, because all that stuff is just, we're all so fortunate, and we easily forget it, I think, sometimes.
Yeah, at least what I took away from it, it's not necessarily about escaping the mundane aspects of life, but
Mhm.
appreciating those mundane aspects of life. And it's really, the simple things like you're talking about, having food accessible and on the table. We just do it every day. But,
Mhm.
and I'm not religious by any means, but there is something to the idea of like giving thanks at mealtime, to really take that and put into words at what you're doing at that moment. I mean, I started this thing, and I have a 1-year-old, so I'm
Mhm.
thinking of traditions or things we want to do together. And
Mhm.
I was thinking, at dinner time, as opposed to doing some meaningless prayer or something like that, thank someone that was associated with this meal. It could
Mhm.
be the person who made it for you. It could be the person that grew the lettuce. It could be the people who created the petrol to get the lettuce from Costa Rica to our front door. Whatever the case is, just understanding the journey of our food and appreciating it. I think that's something that Cole kind of takes away as well from this whole harrowing event in his life.
Yeah, I think that that's right on. And we're boredom is something new, I think, for us as a species. And we're trying to figure it out, because I don't think we would have been bored until after the Industrial Revolution, maybe, or something, because we would always be fighting for everything, or working for everything. And so now that there's this, I don't know what you'd call it, like an inflation of resources, that we're able to actually sit and kind of despair at how we don't have anything to do. And that's where a lot of people's anxieties manifest from, because it's just, we don't have anything to worry about, and we're designed to worry, right? Human beings are tooled to worry so that we don't die. And when you take away all the things that we would normally be worried about, like the tiger at the door or whatever it is, it's like we have to come up with things to worry about and be upset about. And that's just like it's a big design flaw, I feel, with humans. But it's about learning to, I guess, remember that we're really fortunate. And your sort of comment about what you do at a meal, or any time that there's anything, any kind of like blessing that you have, yeah, it's important to try to remember that. It's really easy to forget, because we see it every day, right? People are pretty entitled, and or some people are pretty entitled these days. And it's just, man, it can really start to, you can really start to forget how bad it can get when we lose that, right?
I think we've all forgotten. I
Yeah.
don't know who said it, but it was like we're all 48 hours of food away from anarchy or something like that, which is
Oh, for sure.
100% right. And the boredom aspect is interesting as well, because boredom is actually super important, especially for kids and whatnot, to rewire their brains. And unfortunately, the whole social media well, this is a whole different story, but the whole social media aspect of life for everyone, just we all do it. We pick up our phone when we have a
Yeah.
second of boredom, and to just live in that boredom is actually like what we're probably supposed to be doing, as opposed to consuming some terrible content that
Oh
we all
yeah.
don't need.
Well, when I was a kid, it was like I'm around the same age as you, so we it was like go find a stick that looks like a gun or something. Like it wasn't.
Absolutely.
So now it's I don't think it's what's on the screen that's as big a problem as what the screen stops the kid from doing, like you're
Yeah.
inferring to it or you're alluding to. It's like it's preventing them from using their imagination. And as a reader of a book, or as a writer of a book, I should say, you rely pretty heavily on the reader having an imagination. And that was part of the cool thing about writing in a narrative space, is like, or like a literary space versus like a, because I come from a filmmaking background.
Hmm.
It's so much more fun in a way, because if the reader has the imagination that you hope they have, they can lift half the weight for you or more. And
Interesting.
you can feed them a lob ball, and they can hit it out of the park, because it's a co-collaborative thing, right? You're actually asking them questions and positing information for them to then take to a internal place and then conjugate with whatever they've experienced in their life. And then that's what a lot of people, I've hoped and have sort of experienced, a lot of people saying that it reminded them of something, or that it brought them to a place that they had been. Because I think that's one of the goals, is you want to make somebody feel something that is relatable.
Hmm.
And with filmmaking, I don't know how I got on this tangent, but with filmmaking, everything is very explicit on the screen, right? The kind of music that's playing, the sound effects, the dialogue, how the characters look, what the
Yeah,
setting
you're
is.
trying
It's
to
all,
evoke something.
yeah, but it's all there. You can't see something else, really. You can see it and interpret it the way that you want, but in this case, you're just putting words in someone's head, and they're gonna paint the picture. And I know with the QR codes, there's been a few people that have said they didn't want to look because of that exact thing. They're like, wow, I love that there's this like journal, and that these characters are there and you can see these things, but I loved just picturing them instead. And so I didn't check the QR codes until I was finished the book, that kind of thing. So
Huh.
that's,
Mm.
yeah, I don't know if you guys did look at that, but it does
Of
give
course, that
you,
was my next question.
okay, let's go.
Well,
Yeah.
I was just gonna say it was a cool idea that I haven't seen before,
Mhm.
and it almost took me back to, there was this R.L. Stein Goosebumps back in the day where they
Oh
had
yeah, the
like the
goat.
choose your own destiny ones, like the second R.L. Stein thing that he did,
Yeah.
where you're going back and forth throughout the book based on like what you choose to
Right.
do,
Right.
uh, and this is obviously different than that, but it kind of took me back to
Hmm.
those memories.
Hmm.
And just having a journal in it. I assume you were talking about the cab ride when you were journaling your last will and testament,
Yeah.
but so I assume you have a history of journaling and you're familiar
Uh-huh.
with that. So was it that aspect of your own life that you decided you wanted to bring into this, or like what was the goal with it, and how did you decide to integrate it into the story using the QR code?
I don't know. I actually don't know. I do journal when I'm on trips a little bit, and I like to
Mhm.
find, I don't know, souvenirs, little trinkets, that kind of stuff, just the things you'd see in his journal.
Yeah,
But
little baggies of drugs. I don't know if he should be bringing that back. I'm not sure that's gonna, if that goes through customs and they find trace elements, like this could
oh
be an issue.
yeah. That's the fiction part again. Yeah. No. That was pretty fun. That's pretty funny. But I don't know. I guess maybe it's something about the filmmaker element in me. I found myself describing things in the book that are hard to picture for some people. Like I said, you can't always infer that your reader's going to know what the stretcher they're building looks like, or what
Hmm.
the coast of Sumatra looks like versus how the Mentawai Islands look, and all that stuff. I just felt when I was reading it or writing it, I was like, I wonder if there's maybe the chapter heading page, I could have some sketches that would help, elucidate a little bit of that stuff. But then I was like, I felt like that was a little tacky, and it's really complicated with trying to get a book printed that has graphic elements as well. So I just sort of thought, it just sort of evolved into, well, maybe it's a separate sidecar element, and that took me on a 4-month journey trying to figure out how to draw, and then
So you
how
did all
to.
the illustrations as well?
Yeah, I did, and not by choice. I just didn't. I don't think. Well, I don't think that hiring an artist makes sense because you'd have to suspend disbelief too hard to believe that Cole is this like magnificent artist. I just wanted it to
Yeah.
look better than how was drawing, but not so good that you wouldn't believe that he can actually come up with these illustrations. So I don't know if I found that balance. A lot of the stuff is pretty okay looking, but yeah,
Mhm.
I just wanted there to be a touch point for some of the descriptions and some of the stuff that he's talking about and seeing. And then when the idea of the Polaroids came through, again, it just sort of dawned on me. I'm like, man, wouldn't it be cool if somebody had a Polaroid camera? And so,
Yeah.
admittedly, that didn't come in till like the 11th hour, so it's not spoken about in the actual narrative of the book. But I was like, whatever. You don't have to tell everything about everything in the book. So I just
Yeah,
sort
we
of
can
like,
figure that one out.
yeah. So the
He
idea
doesn't
of
need to say,
being.
I pulled out my Kodak
Yeah, yeah,
and,
yeah, yeah,
took a
right,
photo.
exactly. So that stuff, I just felt like it's really textural, and of course the thing survives a bit of damage, so it looks really textural and interesting. And the way that that was built was I had a real journal that I actually kind of weathered and distressed, and then I took a really high resolution stills camera and I shot plates of it, like
Mm.
20 or 40 pages of plates, and then all of those went in, and all of the elements were laid on top of that. So it was actually a really fun creative process, but that took me 3 months of pretty much every day, 8 hours a day, and it wasn't in the original plan when I began this book, so it felt like I was doing another book entirely. But I think it was worth it. People at least for the most part seem to really have enjoyed it, so glad that it happened.
Yeah, I thought it was a great addition. It
Good.
brings so many different things together. It brings, books, and then also everyone, when they're reading, they have their phone next to them. Everyone has their phone attached to them anyways. So
Yeah.
to bring that into the story and say, hey, scan the QR code and see these, I think you're downselling your illustrative abilities because like the crocodile, are you kidding me? That's like the best crocodile I've ever seen. Should hang that thing in the Louvre.
Oh, dude, but I had, you know how long that took me? And, like, if you could see the eraser marks, you wouldn't be as impressed, I promise. It
Yeah.
took so much to get that done. And the cars too, like drawing the cars.
Yeah.
Oh God. I just feel like if it's worse than that though, as a reader, you're like, I don't know. This guy's not good. Like he shouldn't draw. You know?
Yeah, but it's a peek behind the curtain of Cole's,
Mhm.
experience. So, yeah, I thought it was a great issue. And then the Polaroids, did you like take pictures of people? Did you ask people, or did you like Gen AI people?
These are pictures from past trips, and so they made their way in because they were on my hard drive. I like to travel with like, old expired film
Yeah.
rolls, and so taking photos of friends or whoever, and then the film always comes back really gnarled up looking, and kind of like the colors are all flushed out, and it's because Polaroids generally don't have a lot of contrast. They're kind of like the blacks are a little gray and the whites are a little gray. So I try to like find that because the shots that I included on the Polaroids were composited because they weren't actually Polaroids. So
Mhm, yeah.
I just use film photos and kind of like purpose them as Polaroids. But you have to work with them to try to make sure that you can compress the dynamic range a little bit because yeah, Polaroids are a lot of things, but they don't give you a whole lot of color or like a whole lot of contrast. They're kind of flattened. So a little bit of
Mhm.
work on that, and then it sort of turned out how I was hoping it would. But that was a pretty cool thing, and I thought it is going to be it's going to maybe split the room because not everyone's going to want to see Kendall, and not everyone's going to want to see Cole, and that's fine. That's totally up to the reader, right?
Yeah, I didn't mind it. So,
Yeah,
just saying, didn't mind it. But also, I did find I was like, okay, so Cole is absolutely jacked. Got it. Check.
right.
Okay, just making sure. 30 something in a corporate gig, like
Mhm.
this guy might be, surfing days might be behind him, but oh no. Oh no. Cole's hitting the elliptical. That's for sure.
Oh yeah, Cole's he's out there at the F-45. He's that guy. Yeah, that crossed my mind a little bit, but I think because of that culture, the go on surf trip culture, it's funny how it turns people into working out for 11 months of the year because they're going surfing for 3 weeks is a really
Yeah.
funny kind of paradigm because or paradox. I'm not sure which one, but it's funny because I know people who are like that. They're like, "Well, I surf from January to February 15th. Got to be the most fit person on earth," which is funny. It's not like necessary at all. But it does bring out, I guess, some of the. I mean, you'd have to call that a good thing, and so it does bring that out of people, which is always nice. It's like you want to
Yeah,
start to
it's a
take care of
reason to get
yourself.
and hit the gym. Is
Yeah,
that trip that you're going to take in 6 months from now.
and surfing as well for a lot of people, it takes them places. So it's like it gets you into a place where you want to be fit and you want to stay young, and then you actually go and you travel to places that you normally wouldn't. Like no one's going to Nias Island for another reason, at least as far as I'm concerned. So it's like you're going to travel all the way across the world and then get on a boat for 4 hours to travel to this remote spot. I don't think that the casual traveler is doing that. So it does serve out this sort of secondary motivation for people to go and do something that's, I guess, amazing in its own way. It's like I don't know anyone who's doing that otherwise, right? It's like
Yeah,
it really
yeah,
moves
for
you.
sure.
Hmm.
It'd be weird if there was just that one, fat guy on the beach drinking a pina
Yeah,
colada.
yeah,
Like,
exactly.
why
You're
are
not
you
like
here?
because the question did come up. It's like, well, should Kendall? But that's who you meet. Like if you're in Bali, for instance, you're not. That's just who's there. It is what it is. Like it's sort of like part of that culture.
Yeah, you're gonna get the hot 30 yoga surfing gal. That's
Hmm.
what you're gonna see there. You're talking about the characters and them being kaleidoscopes and whatnot, and the genesis of Fern's nickname, real name
Right.
Adam, but reminds the guys of Zach Galifianakis, so they call him Fern between two ferns.
Hmm. Hmm.
Did you create this out of whole cloth, or is this based off of like a nickname of a friend you have in real life?
That's a funny one. I actually did have a friend named Fernie,
Okay.
but that wasn't what drew me to that. It was actually this. He's a tapestry of a bunch of different people,
Yeah.
but in my head, he began looking like Zach Galifianakis. So that actually kind of came sort of in its own ornate way. But I wasn't thinking of my old friend from high school that was named Fern. It's hard to name characters, I feel like.
Yeah.
uh, and Cole was a tough one for me, and like you don't want to write like a surf book about a guy named Chase and Logan and like
Yeah.
all of these guys. It's like if you can get, it's so easy to become this cliche and be like, no one's named that. Like that's
Yeah.
ridiculous. So I wanted to kind of break away from the typical naming conventions and give a mononym to one of them, and that was sort of the best bet I had. And he's not dissimilar to the way that Zach Galifianakis was in Between Two Ferns, because he's kind of
Mm.
cantankerous and a bit of a, I mean, he's a loudmouth, and so and he's constantly busting balls, which is I felt like what that show was. It was like take a
Oh yeah.
famous guy interviewing other famous people, but he's completely unhinged. And I thought, it all kind of felt right, I guess.
Yeah, and I feel like we all have a fern in our life, especially when it's one of your travel buddies.
Yeah.
Uh, and I thought it hit with me too because I have a friend, a dear friend named Cheese, and
Jeez.
his name is Cheese because he in college freshman year he tore his ACL and it was right when 8 Mile came out. So there and his name's Rob, so there was Cheddar Bob in 8 Mile, so his name became Cheddar Bob because of Cheddar Bob getting shot and having a limp as well. And it just then boiled down to cheese or provolone or any pick your cheese and that's him. So it was funny because
Yeah,
it
so
just
that's what
seems
I'm
to work.
talking about. You just like perfectly exemplified the idea of like, I threw you something, you caught it, and you mixed it with your own reality, and then it became true to you. And I think that's sort of what I learned as I was writing this. It's like, man, if the right person reads it, it's just going to be like clicking on all cylinders, because it's just like, man, I got that same thing. And so yeah, but he as a character, he does represent a large, I guess, a large portion of people's friend groups in some way or another. And I think that's why I definitely have had a few people be like, man, that he's the best and the worst.
Yeah, and I'd done trips with some buddies, and we did a 3 week ski trip all around the East and in Canada. And I have a friend who's very much like Fern, who was on that
Hmm.
trip, and so he was calling to me throughout the entire book.
Is he going to listen to this?
Yeah.
Absolutely not.
That's too bad.
And if so, I would tell him to his face. He knows, he knows he's a cantankerous asshole.
In my circle, I don't know that they fully have the self-awareness that you'd expect or hope, but I think I think they, I mean, maybe they have like a inkling that they're maybe that guy, but I don't know. It'd be
Yeah. No,
interesting
they
to
definitely don't. They definitely don't.
a psych evaluation would be
Yeah.
really entertaining on someone like that for sure.
Yeah, but if you're in, if you're at Montreblanc and you're looking for a good time, he's the guy who's shaking hands with a random bartender who's getting some drugs for you that you didn't
Oh
expect,
yeah.
So he's that guy too. So there's great aspects
Yeah.
to that.
The drug sniffing dog human. Yeah.
Yeah.
I definitely have friends like that. Yeah. Yeah.
Sticking with Fern and Logan, I did want to get your thoughts on, for Logan, was the whole thing somewhat worth it so that he could hold it over Fern's head from then on out? The whole "I saved your life," and anytime that an argument starts, it's just you could always bring that up. It's almost like the automatic winner, right? Like, it's in some ways he was thinking about that when he was saving his life. He was like, I got a one up on him from now on out.
Yeah, because if he dies, then I'm gonna have, well, it'd be terrible, but then I'm never gonna be able to like throw this back at him. Yeah, exactly. Like, yeah, so in the journal, and this was sort of an afterthought, I wrote that, I guess Cole's gonna go over to Ferns, who's staying with his parents, and he says it's gonna be like a Seinfeld, like George Costanza kind of arrangement. And so that's like post fact where they're recovering back in New York. And I think like because they're best friends and Logan and Fern are like undeniably going to die for one another, there's a funny dichotomy of also, yeah, but I also saved your life, dude, so I need you to like do this for me. And I think that, yeah, because Logan's not exactly dissimilar to him, right? He kind of is the first to get roped into a stupid argument with this guy. And so yeah, it is like a game of chess with the pair of them. And so I think that would definitely, going forward, and we'll see if there's anything that comes from this in terms of like a sequel or a second book.
Oh,
But
well, I like it.
I have been kind of thinking about it, but I think there's some things that are definitely lingering there. Obviously, Cole and Kendall's relationship and whether there's anything that comes from that, and then the guys, and then also Carlos, who disappeared without a trace, that kind of thing. So, but yeah, I can imagine. I could just sort of interpret what Logan's 3 years down the road conversation with Fern might be.
Yeah, and on the flip side, had they saved him, but luckily Cole was smart enough and basically a medic out there was able to save his leg. But had it had to be amputated or injured, would Fern, do you think, in your mind, turn into like Lieutenant Dan type thing, being like, you should have let me go out on my board? Or would it be one of those things where now he holds that over Logan the whole time? Oh yeah, well, my leg's gone because he like that thing. Like, I'm
Yeah, I
wondering
don't
how
know.
that changed that relationship there.
I don't imagine that Fern would be like, I think behind that declaration by Lieutenant Dan is a lot of honor, a lot of like pride.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
He had
don't
like
know.
four generations of military behind him.
Yeah,
Like,
I
had
don't
him
think
feel the
Fern's
battle.
thinking that, man. I think he's thinking like, get me the fuck out of here, man. Like, yeah, I don't know. That's pretty funny though, to picture him like Lieutenant Dan. But I think when I was writing it, obviously the option of what happens to Fern had come up a few times, and half the time I was like, man, does he die? And I couldn't do it. Like I couldn't write it because it turned so gruesome for me,
Yeah.
at least. I just
Gets dark.
I couldn't bear to do it. And I just watched this movie. It's Christmas right now, so I just watched this movie called The Man Who Invented Christmas, which is quickly becoming my favorite Christmas movie ever.
Oh,
And
I
it's
love
it's
Rex.
about it's a biopic, but a screenplay about Charles Dickens writing A Christmas Carol. And the discussion about whether Tiny Tim dies or lives is a big center of contention for him in that book, because his instinct is that Tiny Tim has to die, and all of the people surrounding him are like, if Tiny Tim dies, then what the hell's the point of any of it? And it just reminded me of that, because I did grapple with that for about almost a year, actually, to be honest, because it was like writing that last part. A lot of people that I spoke with, friends, confidants, and stuff, were like, man, he needs to die. Like, not everyone's going to survive that. And I was like, dude, if he dies, I'm just going to hate the book.
Yeah,
I'm just going to hate
Yeah.
it. So, but I would recommend watching that film. It's incredible.
Yeah, it's got like 78, 79 Rotten Tomatoes. Pretty good.
Man, it's I would say it's a masterpiece. It doesn't look at all like a Christmas Hallmark film. Like, it's cinematic. It's shot on anamorphic. It's got some real big name actors, like Christopher Plummer plays Scrooge, and man, it's a masterpiece. Like, I watch that every year at least twice. So I started watching it like 3 years ago. This is when I first discovered it. But yeah, I'm like borderline kind of like waiting for the season to come around where I can watch it again. Because yeah, really, and also because of my own struggles trying to write a book, which I know I haven't talked about that, but it is not easy. And so watching him kind of in his office having like shouting matches with himself about trying to write this book, I kind of felt that in a different way than I think most people might. I was like, man, that was seriously relatable. So, but yeah, I would highly recommend.
If you see the greats struggling, it's like, oh, okay, like I'm not alone. And also, if these guys are having such a hard time writing something that's so amazing, then it
Mhm.
makes sense that I would have. It's not supposed to be easy to put this 400 pages together.
Oh God, and I assure you it isn't.
Speaking about movies, a lot of
Mhm.
movie references in the book.
Mhm.
I was kind of jotting them down as I was going through it, but Pirates of the Caribbean, Anchorman, Scarface, Apocalypse Now, Catch Me If You Can.
Oh, that's so funny.
Granted, I'm glad you went with Christopher Walken's monologue in Catch Me If You Can as
Uh-huh.
opposed to Pulp Fiction, because that would have been a very different, very, very different one.
Yeah.
This is Spinal Tap, Rambo, Point Break potentially, Via Con Dios. I just said that's a Point Break reference in my
Oh
mind.
yeah, it is for sure.
Jurassic Park, or maybe Logan was referencing the documentary Light and Magic. I'm not sure because he talks about
What did he
how they
say
made the
again?
sound. He talks about how they made the sound for the dinosaurs. They
Oh,
used
sure. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay,
crocodiles.
sure. Yeah, yeah. Right, right, right.
Light and Magic,
Ye-
if you haven't seen it, phenomenal
I
documentary.
have. Yeah, it's incredible.
Yeah. Either way, I think it's safe to say that you're a fan of the big screen. So now that the book is completed, when the
hmm
studios start calling for film rights, do you
hmm
picture specific actors in these roles? Like, do you have a dream cast?
Patrick Swayze from the 80s.
Yes.
No, I have zero idea because I'm not a big contemporary film person. I don't love what Hollywood's been up to in the last decade and a half, maybe.
Mhm.
And I don't even know who's of age right now to play that role. I don't know a single actor, at least not that like one that springs to mind. I come
Well, you
from
can
like,
say anyone. So to be fully transparent with you, we do this for a lot of the books we read. We kind of will think about a cast that we'd have for them, and it's never now because that's always
mm,
impossible for us. So it
hmm
always ends up being, it would be Patrick Swayze, but in
hmm
Dirty Dancing, Patrick
right,
Swayze,
yeah, yeah, okay. I like
or
those
like
rules. Yeah,
we're gonna say Tom Cruise, but it's The Outsiders, Tom Cruise. It's not,
right,
Tom
right,
Cruise
yeah,
running
yeah.
through Red Square as a 60-year-old that looks like he's 40,
Yeah,
So,
my answer to Cole is probably, I'm not sure, but I feel like River Phoenix when he was kind of like,
oh, let's go. Yeah.
but the thing with River Phoenix is he was not as neurotic. Like he'd have to learn how to be more neurotic, I think. I think that's part of what makes Cole who he is his sort of
I feel like he could do
intricate.
it.
He could probably do it. I mean, the guy's unbelievable. But his eternal self-doubt and
Yeah.
self-deprecation has to be in the eyes. And I think that would be amazing. I mean, Jack Black could have probably played Byrne when he was much younger. That kind of same physical sort of
Yeah. Be
characteristics.
kind, rewind, Jack Black.
Yeah, something like
I can
that.
see
Yeah,
it.
when he's a little bit younger, and then the rest of the guys, I don't know, but it's a great question. And let's just hope that yeah, there's some kind of discussion at some point about the film. It's all those references that you talked about. I mean, to my girlfriend's chagrin, I definitely want to rewatch movies versus go on a hike at nighttime. Like she loves to go do something physical, and I'm like, let's watch Point Break for the
Yeah.
30th time this week or whatever. So it's one of those things. But I think I like that you picked up the Anchorman thing because I totally forgot that was in there. You're talking about the Brick killed a
Yeah.
guy thing, right?
Brick killed the guy. Yeah. Yeah. It was Brick killed the guy.
I just feel like that vintage of adult, those early O's movies
Yeah.
were really amazing, especially the comedy ones. And so I feel
Yeah.
like
Well,
that.
they don't do comedies like that anymore. It's just
No.
that was peak. That was peak comedy. Granted, I was upset there wasn't an Austin Powers reference personally, but
I as
you
well.
know,
Thank you.
other than that, yeah, there was a bunch of good ones, and I'm the same way. Keith, did you have anything else?
No, I just wanted a recommendation. Maybe get into Margot Robbie's hand for Kendall. I mean, the
Oh,
Australian girl coming up
Ooh.
surfing. I mean, I don't know
yeah,
if
Oh
that's the
yeah.
modern, but I think she fits the bill. I think it's just
Yeah,
something to throw out
maybe.
there.
Well, she was maybe like the Wolf of Wall Street era, kind of that Margot Robbie
That's
with
the
some
only
dark
Margot
hair.
Robbie I know. Yeah, I don't know any other
Yeah, you're
version of
right.
hers.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Well, I'll take that recommendation and we'll run with it.
Yeah, if you need some casting stuff, we're here for you.
Yeah.
I don't know what they're doing in Hollywood. I don't know. It's Tarantino just said it's the worst era in Hollywood since the 1950s, and I think I agree. I don't go to see new stuff really unless it's something I don't know. It's just weird. It's like Hollywood. It's like that idea when you mix the commerce and the board of directors and the stockholders with the art. Like Rick Rubin will tell you all about that. It's like that's the worst place to be coming from. It's like testing a movie. It's like no,
Yeah,
the way to make
Mm.
good art is to give some auteur like the reins and let them make the thing that they want to make the most and that they find makes them feel most alive or most excited and let them do it. Instead, they're like, well, what do people want to see? And it's like you're reverse engineering what it should just be natural art, right? It's like no one's got a
yeah,
tuning fork for the masses. You gotta, it's like if you're a songwriter, write what feels real to you, what matters to you. Don't do that game where you're like, how can I make money by doing this art form? I don't think that serves it in the way that it needs to be served for it to be any good in the first place. So it's just like it's a losing battle from the beginning. And I think that's where Hollywood's caught up right now. It's like they got Warner Brothers has and Netflix has all these they have all these shareholders. It's like what makes the money, not what is good.
So TJ, you're dedicating a portion of sales to Sungai Watch. Can you tell us about a bit about the organization and why what they're doing is important to you?
It's more that it really fits the book because the book
Hmm.
set where they're set, they're sort of in Bali and Indonesia as a whole, but they're a group of sort of cowboys that it's like three siblings and they were out one day. They're in Bali. I'm not sure. I think they're from South Africa or something, but they're in Bali and they noticed all of this waste on the beaches and they kind of have this journey of discovering that all of this waste is coming in from these river systems. And so they just started to throw on hip waders, and the three of them would climb into the river and start to pull the junk out. And they started restoring mangroves and all these systems and lowland wet zones, and they would make pristine what was once a garbage dump. And so that started to get a little bit of attention in Indonesia, and they started to get a following. And now they have, I think, 150 people who are volunteers
Oh
and they
wow.
have these massive recycling plants that they've built. They're just shacks, but they're these huge footprint areas where they take all of the waste and they sort through it and uh, they color code it and then they make recycled furniture out of it and all this stuff and flip flops. And I just saw that and I was like, this book relied so heavily on the ecosystem and the ocean and all the stuff that surrounds Cole and the gang that it would make a lot of sense to try to give those guys a hand. I don't know whether they'll get a lot of money out of it, but I'm trying to offer what I can because I think it's a really important thing. We're I guess in a place where the ocean pollution is really tangible. You can see it. It's more like to me, it's more even more clear than like anything like climate change. It's in your face. It's on the
Hmm.
beaches. Your board's covered with cellophane when you're surfing out there, and so I just thought it was important to try to support them and do what I can to give them a hand. I think they deserve it, man. It's like when you that kind of cowboy, I'm just going to go out and do it
Yeah,
with
yeah,
no support, no funding, and you're just going to go do and no cameras. You're just going to go start cleaning. I think that's the most incredible spirit, and we got to reward that. I think.
yeah. That's rad. Yeah, I appreciate
Mhm.
that for sure. Even just getting their name out there. So Sungai Watch, people can go look it up too because
Yeah,
yeah, I checked it out and I was like, holy smokes, these guys are actually doing something. Like you said, it's not
yeah,
okay. We'll collect a bunch of money and then we'll figure out what we want to do with it. It's no, let's just
yeah.
go do it.
Yeah, those guys are active. That's what I mean. Like, and they set up these barriers too. So it's like all those rivers. So whenever it floods in Indonesia, or rains, I should say, all of the junk that people throw in inland goes and gets flushed out. So it's like every time there's more. So they set up these gates that are eco-friendly and they don't prevent wildlife from passing them, but they stop the garbage. And so you basically try to cut it off at the source, and you get rid of what would be an influx of plastic waste every time it rains. And they've been under attack lately. There's so much rain happening there. It's been like a crazy amount of storms this year. So those hopefully those barricades are still functioning. But yeah, like you said, it's like you can donate to any other cause, but I can see that these people are just out there doing it. And that's where I think that's where the rubber hits the road. It's like they're not in the planning stage. They're out there collecting garbage. It's amazing. It really is amazing.
Great. Well, the end of the book, Carried Away, really got me. You know, I was honestly, I was surprised at how emotional I was when Fern rejoined the guys after
Mm,
being released from the hospital. It's
hmm.
like, you know, I don't, it's not often that I'm like getting teared up reading a book like this or something like that, but it
Wow.
happened. And it's a testament to your character building and storytelling. So I appreciate you taking the time to write the book and to chat with us today. I, wish you the great success with this one.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. It's writing this, you do it sort of alone in a vacuum, and you hope that people pick up the things that you're writing down and feel them. And it's just really nice to hear that people reading it are feeling that, because that's pretty much the ultimate goal, right? Just
Yeah, for
yeah.
sure. That was a really nice conversation, Keith. I had a great time.
It was 9 a.m. over here in my part of town on Monday morning, so I apologize for the low energy it brought. But yeah, that was super fun to hear from him and good to talk with him.
Yeah, it's noon. All I've been drinking all day is coffee. It's a two pot day. So
I haven't had a caffeine yet.
Yeah.
I need to get some.
I was like Fern off that Colombian Bang Bang. I was geared up and ready to go, ready to chat about it.
Oh God, yeah.
I had also just finished the book like 2 nights ago. We went to Caroline's parents for an early holiday, and I was like, well, I have to read this book too. So kind of best of both worlds, sitting with the in-laws, but I was like, I got to read a book. So
Being able to escape.
yeah,
Yeah, perfect.
just so you know, got to read a book. So without having a book report, let's jump into some stock up, stock down. Keith, what do you have for stock up for Carried Away?
Stock up making friends on vacation. You know me. That's not something I do. I don't think I'm going solo on a trip. I'll probably talk to 2 people on total. I'm just unfortunately not a someone that's super outgoing and things like that. But I've been doing it all wrong because let's face it, if they don't meet those Australian girls, first of all, the trip I'm sure is not as enjoyable. Obviously, the first
Oh
half.
my God, you wouldn't be as dehydrated.
They're still on Crocodile Island right now, fighting for their lives. Still, like they're stuck there. Fern's donezo. The fact of the matter is, going out and talking to people, I guess that's a thing.
Yeah.
You got to do. I mean, the other thing I wanted to bring up about the girls in particular, though, is that they just got hit by 2 tidal waves. Like, they were basically dying of thirst out in the ocean. Sharks are attacking them. And Cole kept on being like, man, I really hope the girls are okay. I'd be the exact opposite. I'd be like, those goddamn girls up there safe right now. I'd be so pissed at them because I'd be so jealous, obviously. But like, the fact that he was that caring and thinking about them and at the worst time of his life, that was like super selfless of him. That's not something I would never do. So that's probably why I can't meet friends on vacation. Maybe that's why.
Yeah.
But I was impressed by that.
I'll burn it now because I was going to talk about it later. But Cole himself, and we kind of talked with TJ about this, but he resonated with me a lot. And I'm assuming you too. We're both in our mid to late 30s. We've been working corporate gigs. His humor's self-deprecating. He has a lot of self-doubt in his, his actions and his normal day life. Things that happen to a lot of people. But I totally saw a bit of him in myself while I was reading this. That is until the tragic events of the tsunami, because after that, he's the guy that's saying, okay, we just got to hold on, stick with it. There's going to be sharks attacking us. Fine. I'm going to have a plan. Like, he's having a plan. He's swimming out to stuff to help people. Where Fern, on the other hand, is, we're all going to die. Let me die. We're all going to die. This is terrible. Fuck this. I immediately switched. I was Cole at the beginning, and then I was Fern at the end, where I would have been, let me go. I'm dying. I don't want to suffer. Just let me drown. I'm good. So it's funny how you
I'd
see
be arguing
yourself.
the merits of do we want to die by sharks or drowning? I'd be like arguing which one I would want to die. It wouldn't be a question of if I'm dying. It's which way do I want to go out? That'd be very, very somber. So I'm glad there's someone like Cole that was, could lift the group up a little bit.
Yeah, you need that person, but that wouldn't be me. I'd be saying,
No, 100%
night has fallen. There are sharks in the water. I didn't even talk about it in the interview. Jaws, he referenced Jaws as well. But that would be my mindset. I'd be like, I'm not getting eaten by a shark, so let me drown. Hold me underwater, please. Yeah. My first stock up is being a pyromaniac. Stock up. So our boy Cole, obsessed with beach bonfires. Obsessed. To the point that he carries a flint around with him, hoping he'll have a chance to light it up. They go spear fishing, catches a couple lobsters. You know what that means. Beach barbecue, people. Meat's back on the menu. We're having a fire. It's pretty much the only reason why he wants to catch these lobsters is just to do the beach barbecue. Invited to a full moon party while he's hungover, but there's a giant bonfire. Say no more, fam. I'm there. Giant bonfire. But his pyromanicism, which is a word I just made up, ends up saving his ass when he and the boys are marooned on a desert spit of land. And he's like, yeah, hold on, guys. I got a flint in my pocket. We're having hot food tonight. So I guess carrying around a flint, like this guy's straight out of Survivor or something like that. Jeff Probst would be giving him props. Yeah, so it's a stock up because usually the pyromaniacs are the crazy people. See Stephen King's The Stand, but not Cole. Saved his ass.
Well, I think that's one of the best things you can be, because everyone kind of gets labeled something in the group. You know, you have the grill guy, which I really appreciate that person in the group. You're on a group trip with buddies and things like that. You got the fire guy, the guy that's like, hey, let's get a barbecue going. Let's get something going. I'll get the wood. Let me go chop some stuff down. Let me go, gather some timber, things like that. Love that. Then you have like the strip club guy. Not a big fan of that guy. Yeah, sometimes you need him, but that's bachelor parties usually, and I'm not the biggest fan of those. But like everyone has their kind of role, and I think the fire guy is a necessary role. It's very necessary. You need that outdoorsy person. I mean, obviously this group would be all outdoorsy, but just at any trip, that's huge to have, just in case things do go haywire. That person's like, oh yeah, we need to make a fire. Yeah, I got you. Like, let's get a couple sticks together. I got my flint here, obviously.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, I think that's big.
Cole also has a little bit of you in him. He's the game up guy. It's like, all right, guys, let's game up. We got this boat. Let's go surfing. With you might be more of let's go play flip cart or something like that, or spike ball on the beach. But he's got he's got that. Was that who you would put yourself in as the group, the game up guy?
I love the person that's the positive patty guy. I need that person in my group, because otherwise I'm down the dumps Dan. Like I I'll just give you some alliteration. Don't worry about it. So I think I'm more of I will buy into whatever people need, and I'll make that as best as I can. But I can't do it myself, unfortunately. I'm more of a follower, not a leader.
Yeah.
So that's what I.
Okay, I respect that. Right. Yeah, I mean we need that too. My next stock up was stock up to never stepping out of your comfort zone.
Yeah, this is what I was trying to get at in the interview questions. I was like, wait, should I not be doing anything on a vacation?
So you kind of talked about this with TJ, and it's funny because a lot of the book is about, hey, get out of the monotony of life, go see the world, go experience surfing. I mean, I still remember when I went to the Grand Canyon, it blew I was in a terrible job. I quit the job and was kind of in distress. And I went to the Grand Canyon, saw the stars, and was like, holy shit, this world is so much bigger than me. I'm nothing. And it felt great. But at the same time, I could have very easily just slipped into the Grand Canyon and died, which is pretty much what almost happens to these guys. Because then at the end of the book, Cole, after he survives the harrowing tsunami and the aftermath, he's like, you know what? Maybe those creature comforts at home and sitting there staring at my ceiling fan, maybe that wasn't so bad. So there was a bit of a confusion in messaging, potentially, as to, is it good to step out of your comfort zone, or is it better to just enjoy sitting on the couch watching Point Break 7 times? Because I love that. So
yeah.
I don't think it was necessarily like TJ wasn't meaning for it, and it wasn't confusing, you know what I mean? But it's funny just how Cole kind of went full circle on that one.
I was trying to go through all the different things that occur. Crocodiles, sharks, stingrays, jellyfish. Jellyfish were like, might as well have been like nothing to them. I was like, jellyfish are scary. Anytime I see a jellyfish, I'm nervous. Right? Aren't they super scary? They're like, oh, there's some jellyfish below us. That's cool. I'm like, no, I'd be terrified of that alone.
Yeah, bioluminescent jellyfish. I was like, that is straight out of some Orwellian novel or something. I'm not into that.
And while I appreciate TJ thinking that I could potentially be a surfer, I just know based off of this I couldn't, because the surfers they're just bred different. They're just different animals. They like can take it. I'm not tough like them, because he describes how good of a surf session they had, but a couple of times they're like, oh yeah, and that time I got like knocked over and like came up coughing out all like seawater in my nose and stuff. Like, have you ever had that happen to you?
Yeah.
Like seawater, like you swallow. It's one of the worst things that's ever happened. It's like, I'm like, I don't ever want to go back in the ocean after that happens. And they're like, oh yeah, just a typical run that happens. I'm like, what? So there's no way I could just like even do that stuff. It just is like this. I'll stick to the pool, like where I can see everything and there's no things trying to eat me. And if I swallow like a little water of chlorine, whatever, so be it. But when you're your eyes are watering from swallowing and coughing up seawater. That's like the worst feeling in the world. So yeah, they're different animals, and I respect those people, but I can't be them. I don't think.
Every summer, and I just saw Jaws at too young of an age, I think, because I live on Cape Cod. Every summer, I say, this is the summer that I'm going to swim. Like, I'm going to go out in the morning. I'm going to swim. But anytime I get further than like 100 feet from shore, I just see myself getting eaten by a shark. It's the only thing I can think about. I cannot enjoy the moment whatsoever. The only thing on my head,
something touches your foot, and you're like, oh, there it is. It's gone.
It's like great white, 100%.
Yeah,
I'm done.
Yeah.
But it's funny you said that, because my first and only stock down was surfing, stock down. And I appreciate surfers. I think I wish I could have that mindset of let's go out there and just have a good time. And, kind of like what TJ said, it's not this beautiful thing that people make it out to be. It's extremely hard, and there's lots of unromantic things about it, but it is about the enjoyment of, having the wave and just being out there. But we're talking sunburns, nipple chafing, potential for drowning, ocean predators, bacterial-laden coral. I mean, the coral is so bad that Carlos has a bucket with lemons for the inevitable coral scrapes that people are going to have.
Also great for deodorant, by the way, but go on.
Yeah, that's true. But they're eventually going to, people are going to get scraped by coral, which is full of bacteria, and they're going to need the lemons to sanitize it or something. But the fact that it's brought on board just shows how ubiquitous this, coral scraping things are. I mean, I was talking about how I went surfing in Waikiki Beach when I was 13, and that lasted an hour maybe. The guy who taught me how to surf stepped on coral, and his whole foot was cut open. And that was in an hour. And that's on a beach that's, very sandy and whatnot. So, yeah, what are we doing it for? A 20-second thrill ride? I'm out. Sorry, it's just not for me. I did do the wake surfing, like I said, which is in a lake, no sharks, and that I know of. What is that, Jaws 3 when the shark goes into the fresh water? But
I don't think I got tough to Jaws 3.
You didn't see Jaws 3? Bro, catch up. Yeah, so I respect the idea of surfing. I'm glad people can do it. I'm just too much of a pussy. Sorry, that's just me.
Yeah. Vacation descriptions, or just vacation in general, I guess, stock up. One of the things I think that I wish I would have paid him this compliment when we were interviewing him, but that he did really well, was just describing things in the best light. Every time that he got handed a beer, it wasn't a beer. It was an ice cold beer.
Yeah,
and there's something about that description that puts you there. He mentioned it too. Like there were no hangovers. The stuff that they were doing, if I woke up in the morning, anxiety would be so high. I'd just be replaying the night, being like, how many things I did wrong, all the stuff I suck at, I'm a terrible person, all those things. And he's just like, let's go back on the board. And I'm like, yeah, they're on vacation. Everything's great. I'm like, shit, I wish I could, the mindset they had, it was just amazing to put your mind there and experience that. That's why I mentioned the first half of the book to me, they could have ended it and I'd been like, great book. That's awesome. Obviously, the second half was crazy thrill ride, which was great to be part of too.
Yeah.
But that whole first half and that experience of what was going on, I thought it was great. So.
All of it sounds wonderful in my 20s. I'm such a loser now that when they were talking, Maya, the person who sets up, I think her name was Maya, who sets up the bonfire, when she says meet on the dock at 10:30, the boat comes back at 3 a.m., I was like, I'm out. 10:30? That's past.
I immediately thought it was will there be other trips back in case we get tired or
I was thinking the same thing. I was like, so now I have to go until 3? I'm there the whole time.
I'm getting old too. I definitely thought that as well.
But yeah, the idea of drinking, surfing and then drinking all day and then having bottles of wine at dinner and then going on this, bonfire so hot that you're sweating through your clothes and then taking a bunch of Molly and then the next day being like, let's go surfing. No way. Anxiety levels would be through the roof.
The other thing he had wrote was they were on the boat waiting and they were like, damn, these waves look sick. And then he wrote their collective stoke started rising. And I was like, holy shit, I'm in. Let's go.
That's what that's your hype. Awesome. That's your hype thing for the party guy.
Yeah, exactly. That would have been the stoke's up. All right, let's go then.
You're all about the collective stoke.
Yeah, I'm all about that. Good vibes. It's all it takes, Because when he was saying too, he was like, yeah, when you don't get hangovers when you're doing that on vacation. I was thinking about wedding weekends, things like that. I've never been hungover for a wedding, even though the night before I always drink heavily.
Yeah.
It's just like you wake up, you're like, everyone's in good mood, and you're like, let's fucking go, let's have a night,
Well, it also helps because you're usually cracking a can at like 9 a.m. during those things.
Yeah, well, that's a good point.
Yeah, I was thinking back because like the only thing I have to that now is when my buddies and I go to Ocean City in the summer, and it's all my college buddies, and we're up late and we're drinking and all that stuff. But the next day, it's breakfast and we're all sitting there jazzed about the day and potentially opening up an ice cold can. Did you ever stock down?
Last one was just, I already kind of mentioned this in the interview, but relating to a character stock down. I mentioned, I think I related a lot of ways to Cole, especially early on. But then I mentioned on the interview, I didn't know if I wanted to pull this out, but I thought TJ was a good guy. But yeah, the with Kendall meeting her and being like having magical sex the last 30 minutes. Yeah, I thought I had to bring that back up. That's what I thought you were going with when you were like, oh, and the one thing that's fiction. And I was like, here we go.
Well, I had it in my notes, but honestly, this is how well I know you. I knew you were going to talk about it. I knew that you were.
I thought you were going to talk about it. So. Anyway,
I thought you were going to tell him that he needs a better editor because they wrote 30 minutes and not 30 seconds.
Yeah, I think you misprinted something.
Yeah, I think we wrote 30 seconds and your editor changed it to 30 minutes.
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Did you have a favorite part or favorite storyline within Carried Away?
Well, so first of all, I just want to preface it with, we've read a bunch of books, or at least I've seen a bunch of movies of like human versus environment stuff. I don't really like them very usually.
Yeah, Unstoppable is one of your least favorite movies.
Unstoppable is the one I always quote. Quentin Tarantino's top 10 somehow.
Yeah. How dare you besmirch?
But I just not a big fan of if the person can't think, if there's no thinking involved, I don't really.
The bad guy, you mean? Like the antagonist?
Yeah, if there's like no antagonist that can't think, if it's just like a wave, it's like, all right. But this, for whatever reason, painted the picture really well, created the characters really well. So that first half, I really think it was my favorite part because it really did make it so I cared about the second half. Because usually the second half wouldn't interest me. And then the second half, I was locked in. I was super anxious reading it, definitely in. But I think what made it so good was that first half. I mean, he addressed it too on the interview, but that's really what I liked the most about it. It was because it made me like a type of book like this that I typically wouldn't favor.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, my favorite part was them out to sea, and probably because it was set up so well in the first half. But we know it's coming. He does the I can't remember what they call it, but the what is it? It's like in media res or whatever the case is, when you kind of start with something that pivotal that happens and then flash back and kind of tell the story up until that point, because the book opens with first wave hits and he's like drowning pretty much, Cole is, and then we get back and tell the rest of the story. So we're kind of waiting till we get back there. It's a storytelling way that I feel like is be used good or bad. In this case, I thought it was used really well, similar to one of my favorite Mel Gibson movies, Maverick. If you haven't seen it, check it out. Great flick. But with that, when we finally get back to the wave situation, obviously the wave itself is crazy, but then the guys surviving, doing their own kind of like, it's a little bit of everything, really. It's open water, it's Jaws, it's the K. It's so much going on, and you really care about what happens to the characters to the point. And he was talking about whether, is Fern going to live or is Fern going to die, and how he was dealing with that in his own mind. You can almost tell when you're reading it that that's where his mind was, because I didn't know. I honestly didn't know, is Fern going to live or is Fern going to die? Because it seemed like he was in a really bad spot, and you could go either way with it. So it kind of kept me on the edge of my seat. I was all in. Yeah. So I loved the out to sea portion pretty much up until they get saved. Not that I didn't like those things, but that was definitely my favorite part of it.
Yeah, and I like that Fern didn't die or anything like that. I actually thought I think it would have been pretty depressing if it's like, all right, there's already enough depression around everything with like the island getting devastated. I'm sure there's tons of other people, but the four boys had to stay alive, and the girls, which we appreciated as well. So.
Yeah. I was just thinking about post-survival coitus? Is that the best of the? Is that the best coitus?
You think they got some before they went back home?
What? They were in after they got released from the hospital. They were in a hostel with the girls for like a week, waiting for Fern to recover.
Yeah, good point. You wanted that. You wanted some insight into that, is what you're saying.
Yeah, I mean, he could write a whole book too. That's just that week, you know.
Yeah,
carried away
in ecstasy getting passed around there. That was you didn't need the drugs anymore.
I was about to say the book would be called "Carried Away in Ecstasy." That was what the book would be called. Yeah. So yeah, I'm sure they were getting down. Plus, Kendall was so jazzed that he was alive, and the amount that he cared that they were alive, she would have been loving that. You know, it's like, how are you concerned about us when you guys are dying out here? What about character? What's your favorite character or best character, perhaps?
I think the one that went on the radar was Hunter. She's kind of third wheeling it the whole time with like Fern and Logan, who, by all accounts, and to be fair, I'm kind of like the Fern and Logan, where I'd just be debating someone all trip, you know, and doing that stuff. So I was like, that's kind of what I'm doing. But if I'm sure a girl would absolutely hate me if she had to hang out with me the whole time doing that. So the fact that she kind of just stuck with them and was like, whatever, like no big deal, and you know, hung out with them, I was like, that's good for her. That was really impressive. Also, she's not romantically involved as far as I know with any of them. There might have been like some cuddling or something going on, but
she was on the couch with Logan, right?
Yeah, but then like Fern gets picked up or whatever, they're getting airlifted, and she's like playing doctor or medic for him. I was like, that's a big ask for someone that I met 3 days ago. I'm not really. It's different with Cole and Kendall, where they're like basically soulmates like immediately. Like she's just like, this is a random dude I'm like now having to like feed water to and stuff. Like, So yeah, she really was a team player.
It could have gone a whole different way. She's the younger sister to Carissa. Carissa invites her. She's like, oh, Kendall and I are going on this like trip to Indonesia. We're going to go surfing. It's going to be a great time. She's like, okay, cool. Thanks, big sis. I'm all in. And you get there and they immediately both split off with the two guys. Yeah. And then you're stuck with Bert and Ernie, who are just, you know, yelling at each other the whole time and shitting on each other. And she eats it up. She's fine with it. The other side is she could have just been pissy and been mad that the other girls were hanging out with the guys or whatever the case was. But no, she's all in for the team.
She's definitely a team player. Yeah, I'm a big fan of her.
Great on base.
I didn't think she get enough love.
Yeah.
What about you?
I don't know. I don't want to necessarily say best character or whatnot, but I feel bad for Fern. I just want to put it out there. I feel bad for the guy. Outside of the whole got a compound fracture and life hanging in the balance aspect, no one respects him. No one respects him. No one takes him seriously. I'm mostly thinking about when he's trying to get on Carlos's boat and there's no no ladder. And
I'm 100% on his side there. Yeah, by the way.
It's like, well, he was kind of a dick about it, being like, you don't have.
He was a dick. He didn't need to do that. Yeah,
but at the
he was
same
100%
time,
right though.
Get a fucking ladder. What's going on here?
Have you done that before? By the way, been in the ocean like after doing something like strenuous and trying to be like. Just super tired and trying to get back on a boat. It is so hard. You definitely need a ladder. Like, what are we doing here? Or someone to help pull him up at least. Like, right? Be a team player.
They're all just laughing at him as he's struggling.
Yeah, I felt bad.
And like I've done that usually it's on the lake and I'm trying to get back on the boat and I'll be like, I'm not going to use a ladder, and I try to lift myself on the front or whatever. It's hard, and it hurts. Like it's a painful endeavor. So they just keep watching him flounder and they're having a laugh, you know, at him pretty much. He finally gets on the boat, and then the just exhaust is just blowing in his face from the motor. They're just, once again, he's like, can we just get going? I don't want this exhaust in my face. And they're like, oh, Fern being Fern. It's like, get the thing moving. Then he's puking, and no one's being like, hey, my guy, how you doing? You all right? Can I rub your back? Can I pull your hair? Can I pull your hair back? What can I do for you? They're just like, Fern's puking. What a loser. Give the guy a break, you know? And he ends up scoring him all the drugs, you know, good guy. I'm sure there were some backslaps going on, appreciating that. But, and we kind of talked about it with TJ, but our boy has a drug problem, you know? People gotta start. Yeah, he'll help you score, but at the same time, you gotta tell your guy that, you know, he's gotta check himself because he's on a slippery slope. And he's riding the wave right now, but he could go crashing into coral. And people got to know that.
It's vacation, kid. No one wants to bring people down. Come on.
No, but you save, like, we need a line in there, Cole being like, when we get back, I'm going to talk to Fern about his raging drunk.
Yeah, okay, I like it.
What about Love Hate? What'd you love about Carried Away?
I like the journal format. I've always bring up this book, but I don't know if I remember it at all. But I remember when in high school, I never really liked reading, and then I read the book called The Beach until I read obviously.
Wait, is it
Harry Potter?
Is it the one that
Vince Flynn?
The Beach is.
They made a movie of it.
Yeah, it's the Leonardo DiCaprio movie.
Yeah, so I read that in high school, and I really, really liked it. And I was like, oh, it's a famous book, but it's kind of like an unknown book. But it's written by Alex Garland, the guy that's like the famous movie director.
Oh,
so,
really?
Yeah, it had that same vibe. But basically, the plot of that, I mean, it's the Leonardo DiCaprio. I've never seen the movie, but there's a movie on it. But basically, they find like oh, okay. I think they go to Thailand, and they find like a paradise, and they're based on vacation, but it's utopia. Anyways, so yeah, no, I just thought like the whole vibe, the first person journal format kind of almost vibe, I just really resonated with it. I thought it was really good. What about you?
Yeah, it's funny you say that because the first part of this book, when they're enjoying the island or whatnot, having a good time, it's everything's kind of coated with a Vaseline lens. It's just so perfect. Like it's almost too perfect, right? Like you said, with the beer and that almost that reminded me of Leo in The Beach when they finally get to the beach or whatever the case is, and it's this like kind of like this hippie mecca, this commune that they've created on this beach, but everything is idealistic. There's just it's beautiful. Everything's idle.
You said don't watch the movie?
I don't know. I mean, I don't remember it a ton, but then it starts getting into like drugs and there's shooting. It becomes like an action movie, and then there's a shark. I don't know, but it did remind me of how awesome that was. But that awesomeness of the book then completely turns on its head when we get the wave, which was great. For me, I love in the first part, the kind of like the transformative and relaxing aspect of time spent in nature. It's something that anyone that has done something outside and enjoyed can relate to, which this book, like kind of TJ was talking about, how it brings the reader there in their own way. I was talking about my time at the Grand Canyon, or anytime I go on like a big ski trip, and at some point you just kind of like sit at the top of the mountain, you're like, this is breathtaking. Like, this is beautiful. And we get to ski it, while you're cracking a beer that you pulled out of your backpack. It's just, those things have a transformative nature on yourself. And it's kind of like the reason why we slog through everything else. I mean, even sometimes I just go down to the beach down the street and just look out and be like, this is pretty cool. So he brought that back in me. I love that. And it was a pretty good writing job on the characters for the drug part. I think that sometimes that can go really bad. They tend to be over the top when characters are on drugs in books and movies. Oh, it's like leprechauns dancing on rainbows kind of thing. But this felt real. Like,
yeah,
it felt like the TJ had done a little bit of this in the day because he knew what it was like, and I'm not yucking anyone's yum because, why not? Pass the puck over here, coach. But yeah.
Is that a saying? Pass the puck over here, coach?
Yeah, like, if someone's like cracks a beer and you also want a beer, you're like,
hey, bucko, pass that over
here.
Pass
the puck over here. Or, passing a doobie around. Pass the puck over here. So, yeah, I thought he did a really...
The buck stops at me.
The puck, not buck. The puck.
Okay, yeah.
But I thought the writing aspect of the drinking and partying was realistic. It wasn't over the top and unimaginable.
Yeah, and I'll say it. I know this is going to be sacrilegious, but I already talked about I don't really like people versus animals thing, but I thought this was way better than Jurassic Park. I thought Jurassic Park sucked compared to this. So
I think we're talking about the movie, right?
I know the book we read.
No, but when our conversation with him, we were
yeah. The movie, the reason I didn't like the book as much is I've already seen the movie, so I kind of knew I could already be like, well, I've already seen this, and then I didn't think the characters were good. So, but I thought like for a book that's in a similar vein in sense of people versus environment or animals or whatever, I thought it was just much easier to read, much more fun to be a part of.
Wow, you are putting Michael Crichton on blast. How dare you?
Get at me, Michael Crichton. Maybe the second book was better. I don't know.
Lost World, never read it. But I'm on record. Jurassic Park, wonderful book. Go back and listen to that episode if you want. Love characters, well written and relatable. We kind of talked about this ad nauseum, so I'm not going to, go through it. But he wrote characters really well. For a guy that hasn't written a book before, honestly, I'm a little blown away. super talented.
Yeah.
And then he's like, oh, I did all the illustrations that are in the journal and took pictures of hot babes on the beach that I keep on my hard drive. Yeah.
Listen, let's not yuck anyone's yum about that either. We've all been there.
Yeah. I was like, what else is on the hard drive, TJ? So yeah, I just thought he did an amazing job, honestly. Really good.
Yeah, for sure.
Any other loves for you?
No, I think comparing to Jurassic Park as being better is
Yeah, that's
good
pretty good love.
for me.
That's pretty good love.
Yeah.
What about hates? You got any?
I thought my boy Kavi kind of sucked the second half. When shit started getting tough, he kind of started being a quitter, which I didn't love. He was kind of a sourpuss, especially for a guy. If you wear a bandana all the time, you got to be a complete gamer. Like you can't be that guy. Like the red bandana guy from 9/11, like that historic story.
Yeah, the
or,
BC.
heroic story.
Did you go to BC?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, bro, you can't be wearing a bandana and then the shit hits the fan and you're the first guy that's like, this sucks. It's like, no, you got to be like Cole took charge, but you got to be that guy. Like, come on, right?
Yeah, I think that's fair. I
really liked him at the beginning. Yeah, because I liked his character in the first half, but he was just kind of like go with the flow. He's like, yo, man, it's a vacation. Don't worry about it. I'm like, that's the kind of guy you need in your crew. That's just not like he was kind of giving Cole a hard time, but he wasn't. He was like, oh, I can see him being like anxious. Let me like pick him up a little bit. Like he's the guy that I thought was gonna be the pick everyone up guy, but then the shit hits the fan and he's like, yeah, this does suck. And it's like, all right, well.
Yeah, well, I agree with you. I also think one of the other things that maybe it goes into the love category is that it was at first a hate for me because Cole went into like savior mode and was so pragmatic about what they needed to do to survive that I almost felt like it was hard to believe that someone who had just experienced this terrible event and is also injured and is now cast out to sea wouldn't have a moment of just breaking down or whatever the case is. But then he does, and he's like, when the sharks are in the water, he's slapping the water, freaking out, and other guys have to pull him back and be like, hey, get it together. Do you want to live? Do you want to see your family? Do you want to bang Kendall again? Do you want the best 30 minutes of your life? Then get your shit together because there's sharks in the water. So I like that he had that to him. But otherwise for hates, none for me. None other for me. I was thoroughly impressed. Yeah. I mean, I think, sure, Kavi might have, had his own issues, and Fern and Logan at times get blended into one character, but that's just because there's just not enough time. Like, this book is 400 pages. It doesn't read like 400 pages. Like, I flew through it, and we're mostly audiobook people, so the fact that I flew through this reading analog was a testament to how good it was. But
for sure.
And you can't just totally have fully fleshed out characters that get as much time when they're not even necessarily the leads. So that was really my only thing, was like sometimes those characters almost like blended together, but that's kind of the point. Like, they are almost one. So
the guy that when they're driving in the boat to get to the island, the guy's like, yeah, some person just died here. I was like, Jesus, bro, have a little like vacation etiquette. Remember when they're just getting to the island and he's like, so here are the rules. Like, this is going to be a great time. Like, we're going to have boats out here you can take in the morning. And then he's like, and last thing, don't go in the water at night. Someone died here recently. That's it. Have a good one. It's like, what the? You got to sandwich that in, bud.
Yeah.
Word a little differently and put that in the middle of their speech, not the end when they're about to get off the boat. Come on.
The water's amazing between the hours of 8 a.m. and 8 p.m. After that,
Until that guy died. And then things were terrible for a long time here. It's like, okay, have a good one. See ya.
Keith, Carried Away, TJ Derry, new book. Would you recommend it?
For sure, yeah.
How many buddies you give it? 0 out of 5.
Yeah, I will give it a 4.25. I think this was basically as high as it could possibly be for this type of book. I told you, like, this isn't usually my genre, but this was as fun of a read that you can possibly have in this genre for me. If there's any, I'll say it again, far, far superior than Jurassic Park. So, yeah, I liked it. I would read it all day.
Yeah, I think 4.25, 4.5 is for me too. I think it was really good. We've done this with other books that we were like, okay, it was whatever. You can tell that this is the first book they've ever written, and who am I to judge? I have no talent.
Yeah, I can barely put a sentence together.
Yeah, but at the same time, it was like I was so impressed by this book. I thought it was great. Talk about a beach read. I mean, it's it's like a beach read, but it's also not because you're kind of scared to go in the water afterwards. But a total page turner. Like, this is going on my bookcase. And if someone comes in my house and was like, oh, what's a book that I should read? You know, my stepdad or something like that coming by to spend a week. I'd be like, hey, I'll pull this one. I'll be like, hey, you'd like this one.
Yeah, for sure.
I want to thank TJ. Thanks for coming on. It was a great conversation.
Appreciate it, TJ.
And Keith, what do we got coming up next?
Will of Many. I think we were scheduled to do that next by Will of Many by James Islington. So that will be next. And then we might do the second one as well right after. So if you're in the market, get on it.
Yeah, and let me know what you find at Hudson News on your trip to Hawaii.
Yeah, we'll do.
Because I'm interested in what you pick up.
I'm just going to check the Reese Witherspoon bestsellers and see what she wants.
No,
yeah, what she's recommended recently.
If Reese Witherspoon comes and we get the stamp of Reese Witherspoon Book Club on Carried Away, I'll be back. I'll be back.
There it is. We'll send a threatening note to her.
It doesn't have to be threatening. Tersely worded, please.
Ultimatum. You either do this or we keep pounding the cement.
Pounding the pavement?
Yeah, well, pounding the buck, if you will.
Puck. Pass the puck.
Oh, you're saying puck? Oh, I think you said buck.
No.
Oh, I think you were like, the buck stops with me. I'm like, what? Pass the buck here?
Yeah.
I was like, the deer? What are you talking about?
Pass the puck over here, coach.
Oh, so you're getting the Canadian. You were to bring out your Canadian side. I see. Okay.
All right. Well, that was fun. Glad we did it. And thanks again to TJ. We'll catch you for Will of Many. All right.
Alrighty.
Bye now.
Bye now.